What's going on, everybody? It's KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN here, bringing you guys another review for Black Clover Chapter 358. And now that Chapter 358 is done in the books, things are literally heating up now that the craziest and the scariest of all the Magic Knights, Mereoleona herself, has stepped up to the battlefield and is dead set on playing a very dangerous game of chicken with Morris to see which of them runs out of endurance first during their battle, which is one of the most Chad moves I've seen in Shonen Jump since Yusuke Urameshi beat Chu in that knife-edge death battle in Yu Yu Hakusho, where it was a test of wills to the absolute maximum. That's one of my favorite scenes in Shonen Jump history, and Mereoleona is doing her best to try and top Magna's battle against Dante in terms of how big balls it was. So with my initial thoughts out of the way, let's back things up and let's dive into the recap portion of the review. So the chapter opens up with the last one left off. Mereoleona is getting broken down by Morris's decay and her arm is quickly being lost, but being the mad woman that she is, Mereoleona adapts by activating her Hellfire Incarnate, and it's at this point that even Morris has to become a simp for Mereoleona, stating he's never seen someone in his life who is this close to having a body of pure mana. However, Morris, while he does say that what she's done is very impressive, he warns her that his magic will allow him to decompose everything that he touches, and while it's impressive that she was able to make a new fist out of pure mana, his regenerative powers are even faster. It's at that point that Mereoleona becomes that meme. I took that personally because she's going right at Morris and the two of them are going right at it in an absolute slugfest that sees each of them trying to outdo the other, where they're canceling each other out and neither of them is budging an inch, and Morris gets to a point where he's relying on Mereoleona to tire out first in order to secure the victory, which is a big indicator that he's potentially in over his head right now, because anytime you're trying to play the long game like that, it means you don't have enough raw power to subdue your enemy with brute force, which really does speak volumes about how much of a threat that Mereoleona is right now. She's clearly not on the level of someone like Yuno, who is currently fighting against the Wizard King, but she's clearly built different and she's a threat to Morris, which I absolutely love because this is a pure test of wills that only someone like Mereoleona could be fit for in this battle. Mereoleona right now is literally the best option they have to fight against Morris right now, because she's the one who will throw everything to the caution, regardless as to what it might entail for her, which instantly raises the stakes even higher. Even when she hears the other Magic Knights state the obvious that her body will end up giving out at some point, Mereoleona flat out says she doesn't care and she continues on with her attacks. Meanwhile, Fuegoleon is busy on cleanup duty, trying to take down more NPCs and racking up all the experience points in the process, because none of the other Magic Knights can do anything, and as the other Magic Knights around him are stuck wondering how they can be of any use in battle, Fuegoleon's attention has shifted towards his sister, and he now knows the truth, that his sister is going to reach her end before Morris does, and he has a concerned expression on his face while he observes her battle. Morris now takes the time to gloat that the battle is now over, and it's in that moment we get two more deaths in Black Clover's final arc. Two Magic Knights step in the way of the tentacles to save Mereoleona, and with their dying words they say that they lead the battle to her, which is Shonen fans, we already know what that means. Hero on their last leg, a comrade dies in front of him, and then that good guy power-up starts to take effect as quickly as a healing potion in an RPG does, and Mereoleona's rage hits its boiling point as she directs her ire towards Morris again, which in the process a few NPCs end up losing all their health bars in the aftermath of that exchange, because they understood the assignment, which is to be Mereoleona's shield at all costs, even if it costs them their lives in the process, which it ultimately does. Now, I joke about calling them NPCs. Part of the reason why, you know that they're outclassed, but even I had to take a moment to mourn the loss of those Magic Knights, because all jokes aside, being totally serious right now, it does take a special type of bravery to give up your life for the sake of others. It's not something that you do if you don't have a different kind of bravery to you. Like say you're at war, it takes a special sense of honor and bravery and that belief that you're part of something bigger than yourself to jump on a live grenade, which is basically what these guys just did. They jumped on the grenade that is Morris in order to allow Mereoleona to continue fighting. Fuegoleon, as he's watching this fight, is still worried about his sister, but he's taken note of something interesting about Morris, stating that despite all of his boasting, his power can't run on forever, and he sees exactly what Mereoleona is doing. She's betting on her own willpower to be able to outlast him, which is a very gutsy call, but the only one she has available to her. And somewhere, you know, Yami is aware of this battle, thinking to himself that she's about to surpass her limits right now, which she definitely does at the end of the chapter. Morris continues with this mandatory villain speech saying that she might be a buffoon, but Lucius will bring her back when this is all over, which yikes. Paladin Mereoleona might be everyone's worst nightmare, just like Paladin Captain Jack would be. However, Mereoleona has no intention of backing down right now, and she's vowing to make Morris pay for all the magic knights who he's responsible for killing, which leads to Mereoleona unleashing that brand new spell that looks like it's going to be a trump card. Now, I will say this, Morris, if you would have told me years ago that he would have been the villain who finished in the top 5 for the most number of kills on screen by a villain, I would have called cap. Even with Morris doing all those unethical and sketchy things they did in the Diamond Kingdom, it wasn't enough to make me just jump to this conclusion. But now with the way that he's racking up bodies in this chapter, I loved every minute of what we see on screen. Not what we're told off screen, but what we actually see on screen with the deaths. Sure, he's nothing like the Dark Triad who probably killed hundreds off screen, but it's still impressive what we're seeing, even if they are NPC kills. Now, on the other hand, we do got to give some major props to Fuegoleon. He is someone who wants to become the Wizard King, and this man is single-handedly protecting all the citizens underneath him while fighting against that army of angels all on his own, which is really impressive, especially when you consider these angels have several magic attributes that they can use all at once when you factor in each and every one of them, which again makes that so impressive. The moment he leaves that area, all those people who he's protecting, they're as good as dead in my opinion. This really does prove to you how brilliant of a tactician that Lucius is and why he is actually fitting to be the final villain, because on top of basically manipulating the entire series when it comes to major events from chapter 1 all the way into this current chapter, he literally got the Magic Knight captains to make his life easier. They had no idea Lucius was making an army of angels and dead paladins who could just warp their way into the capital. They thought it would be a full frontal assault. When you go back a few chapters ago, they were expecting Lucius to just start marching towards the capital, not what you actually saw, and that he'd have to come into the capital to get the living people to make them into paladins, which is what he did with Sister Lily, which is why they gather all the people in the kingdom thinking that they were actually protecting them, and due to having that lack of information, it cost them, and they fell right into the best possible outcome for Lucius. Now, the other thing this chapter does is that it does make you look at Asir Silva, and that fight's so much more daunting, because if Lucius was able to make Sister Lily and Heath and Morris into fighters this powerful, what in the world do you think he could do with someone that strong who was literally Wizard King power level when they were alive? My God, she's about to be busted, man. And that's actually gonna be my question to you guys. Given how strong Morris is, how much stronger do you think that Asir Silva is about to be? Well, you think that over, click here to watch these other anime videos you see on the screen right now.